Mirror worlds, mirror worlds, mirror worlds. Y'all might have heard people talking about mirror magic. You might have grown up on the Disney where they said the magic mirror. Remember that scene? I think it was Snow White. Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? A lot of people hear about the mirrors. They got a lot of the little, what you call it, the superstition lined up with it. Don't show the baby the mirror. So the mirror, just like a lot of the different things that exist in the earth realm, is a mystery to a lot of people. Once you get into the science of it, you start realizing where even some of the superstition has truth in it. You know what I'm saying? You just have to know how. It's just like everything else. When you're speaking of spirituality, when you're speaking of the soul, when you're speaking of astral projection, whether you're speaking of lucid dreaming or dimensions or whatever, there's a science in all of it, okay? You just have to know what the science is so that when you're speaking on it, it's not coming from a standpoint of acceptance of knowledge or acceptance of saying this is the truth without having tested it yourself or applied it yourself. So let's look at it. What is a mirror? First of all, before we get into mirror worlds, what exactly is a mirror? The simplest answer I could give you is everything. That'll be the first answer. Literally everything, as in that component of what they say is a noun. All right. Remember, they have person, place, and thing. And I told you all of those are things. Okay. So everything is a mirror. It just depends on what type of, or what was the composition of whatever the thing would be that would separate one type of mirror from another type of mirror. The two main types would be the specular reflection. Okay. Because when you're saying the word mirror, remember you're saying a reflection, technically, okay? Something that's looking back at you, literally reflection saying to do again, and flex, okay? Reflex, reflection, to bend back, flexion, remember that, okay? So let's say we have what's referred to as the specular, all right, reflection, and then we have the diffuse reflection, okay? Remember those two. This one right here is where you get all your clear images from. That's the one you're really thinking about when you're thinking of a normal mirror, all right? Where you're looking and you go in your restroom or you go in your kitchen, wherever you got mirrors at your bedroom, and you'll be able to look and see, and it's a smooth image, a smooth surface, all right? Remember that, specular, see that S? It reminds you of smooth, S, smooth, okay? And it's the smooth surface that allows for that image to bounce back, all right, to you without having the light separated in all these other directions, which is, again, what would have been the opposite one, the diffuse, all right, or the diffuse reflection, okay? So the diffuse will be the rough surface, all right? And the rough surface scatters the light, so you're not able to really see it straight on or head on or perceive it as, I'll draw you a ray diagram so you can see what I'm explaining to you. Okay, other than that, you'll be able to just look at it how you're looking at it. So this right here that you're looking at, this paper, is a mirror. It's just a different type of mirror. It is a reflection. Remember, everything we're looking at is some type of reflection of light, or we're not able to look at it. So if we say mirror or mirare or mirare, is saying to look at something. In order for us to look at it, there must be what? Remember, looks, okay? And that word I gave you in lux, okay, Latin, which is that lux or light, all right? Lux equals light. In order for you to look at something, in order for there to be looks, there needs to be present light. You understand that? So even the paper, the wood of this table, everything you can look around and see, that is a mirror. There are just different degrees to what a mirror is. Okay, so the easiest way I could demonstrate that is through what's referred to as a ray diagram. Okay, keep in mind the phonetics when you're saying the word ray, how it sounds like ray in ancient Egypt, okay, or Ra, which was dealing with the sun, okay, or light. That golden light, or aten, that golden disc that they would be holding in the sky that they understood to be the true light, all right, the light of Ray. And that Ray goes on to be Ray, even in the language we're using today. So you have a ray diagram or ray diagram, okay? So let's say this would be the smooth, let me draw it this way. This is the smooth surface mirror, okay? And then you have a light, all right, or a line that is perpendicular to that smooth surface. And we're going to call that the normal line, all right? This will be the normal. All of this is based on your perspective also, your observation. Remember this. So the way that they'll explain it or show it or describe it or illustrate it is you have incidence, okay, and then you have reflection. Incidence is saying that light is coming in. So let's say there's a source of light coming in this way, all right? This would be what's referred to as the incident ray, okay? Incident ray. And that incident ray is going to create what's referred to as a what? Angle of incidence. All right, so we're going to just write it out like that. Angle of incidence. Okay? Then there's a reflective ray or reflection, okay? Or simply reflected. A reflected ray. Let's write it. Reflected. And the reflected ray will create a what? Angle of, see, angle of reflection. Okay? And then when you line all of these up, they supposed to, or they will have to work in alignment with what will be called the principles of, or the laws of reflection. So you have laws of attraction, you have laws of repulsion, you have laws of reflection, all right? And the main things to remember about when it comes, I could break it down to like 3 of them, okay? They're mainly 2, but let's do 3 of those laws, all right? The first law will be this angle equals this angle, okay? So the angle of reflection, or vice versa, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. All right? Angle of incidence, angle of reflection. You see that? Another thing is to observe all of these within the same plane. Okay? So the incident ray, the normal line, which is perpendicular to that smooth surface, that mirror, that specular reflection, all right, and the reflected ray, all of those exist within the same plane. Okay? So I'll say angle of incidence plus angle of reflection, just to keep it simple. All right? They exist in the same plane. You see that? All right? And then either way you're going to look at it is, again, all of them are going to exist in the same plane. The third one would be the angle of incidence, the angle of reflection would be on, let's say this is the perpendicular line. They're going to be on opposite sides of that normal line. So let's put normal, or NO. Sometimes it's illustrated as or written as NO. Okay? So these will be like simple laws of or principles of reflection. Okay? Now, this, keep in mind, would be for the specular reflection. So when you're thinking of a mirror, just remember all of these. So there are certain things that'll happen because of this. We're going to get into that. There are certain things we're going to observe in mirrors because of these laws. All right, just remember that these are the laws of reflection specifically pertaining to the specular. All right, when it comes to the diffuse, it's going to be a whole different thing. You're going to have a diagram that looks similar to the specular. All right, but it'll look more like this, and you have the arrows going in all different directions because the light isn't able to bounce off completely in such a clear way, all right, in a direct way, which is why when they're making those mirrors, they go through the strenuous process and they breaking things down. If they find a bubble in the material, they'll break it down. They'll cover it up with silver, what they call silvering, all right, or they'll cover it up with aluminum, and then they'll go over it with another painting coat just to make sure that it's actually smooth and enduring. You see what I'm explaining to you? Because when it starts to become a rough surface, like if you've ever been in jail or incarcerated and you look at the mirrors that they provide for the inmates or the residents of those facilities, it will be rough mirrors, okay? So it's like you're looking at metal, but it's not a lot of, as you would imagine, work that will go into it. It's not like it's a luxury mirror, so you can barely see your reflection. You see what I'm explaining to you? Even though you can see it to a certain degree. Now, different degrees of light still reflect in different ways. And you've heard about the opaque material. You've heard about translucent material, transparent material, all of that. So keep in mind, everything is a mirror. As you see, there's a light source right up above, all right, reflecting all of this back to you, okay? But you're beholding it in a different way. So the light is traveling in a different way, all right, on this diffuse surface, you see. So remember, learning what things are, you start word by word. We get into what a mirror is before we start jumping into what a mirror world is. It's speaking in terms of something being able to look back onto you, meaning reflect back onto you, likewise, and you're able to take it in. That is everything that exists in your reality. And now you'll be thinking, okay, now I'm looking at it as a mirror here, a mirror here, a mirror there. And you can think in terms of specular reflection when you're talking about that specific mirror that we're used to. You see, I'm explaining to you. So everything in your reality is already a part of a world, meaning your world itself is built up of mirrors, meaning you exist in a mirror reality. Okay, when you start receiving in that information, those electrical impulses that register in your brain and say, I saw this image, you actually saw a reflection of light, electromagnetism, photons, waves, particles streaming to you so that you can say, I see this thing or I see this paper. You see? So these are tools that people use to say, okay, I want to look at myself and I want to see this thing. But in all actuality, they're a reminder of the reality you already exist within. So when you have statements like magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? When they were saying fair, they were saying who's the most attractive. Okay, who's the most appealing of all? That's why y'all ever remember they got these things that came out. I was younger, so my sister had one of the sets, and some other people had some sets that she had. I think my mother had, or my Umi had one of the sets. It was called a vanity set. All right, and it's where you were supposed to sit there and do your makeup and all this stuff. But I remember just looking at the name as a child and knowing what the word meant, and I was trying to figure out why would they name it that? You see what I'm explaining to you? Well, the way I can look at it is if it's not based on introspection, the reality that you're observing, if it's not based on some type of introspection, then most of the time what winds up happening is it does result to vanity. People think that they are what they look like. You see what I'm explaining to you? So they'll go and they'll put on makeup, or they'll go and they'll put on dermals or tattoos, or they'll go and they'll get, you know what I'm saying, bandanas, anything to add on to the appearance. Okay, it appears to be this, it appears to be that. Appearance doesn't mean reality. You understand? So these types of habits of looking at something in the mirror and thinking that that's what it is, all right, and accepting that as your quote unquote world view, all right, as opposed to looking and searching your brain, your mind, which is that central processing unit that you have for free, okay, meaning it's been given to you naturally. And as long as you don't abuse it, it can be strengthened, all right, without going into that introspection science. You could run the risk of, if you disqualify that, just leaning to vanity to create your reality. You go watch that movie Devil's Advocate, okay, when after all of those tests he had been in and all of the tests he'd been through and the things he'd been drawn out and all of that stuff, when it got to the end, what happened? The devil said, vanity, my favorite sin, okay, because as soon as he got past all of that and was given another opportunity to make good, as soon as he was presented something that could fuel his ego, as you call it, or fuel more of that illusionary world that he was putting up above everything else, he jumped right back into it and said, more vanity. Because of how things look, not how things are. You see? So this world that you're looking at is based on that same type of science. People are seeing things and they think that this is what it is because they're looking at it. That's why optical illusions are so successful. That's why brands are able to get over on people, because they'll show you something and you say, okay, I see this commercial and these people look happy while they're drinking this drink. That's an actor. You understand? Or that's an actress. And they're doing this on purpose. It's a role. They're just portraying this image. But it's not really what it is. When you have celebrities or people that you look up to and you thought that they actually were this way and then you meet them, no, that was just an image that they were portraying. So you think you see an image and that is what it is. No, the image has to be partnered with what you call nation or nativity, life, imagination. And even still, there has to be some type of observation on your part and testing on your part to make sure whether or not it's an actual real image. If you understand, if you want to say it like that. So if I see a hologram of Tupac on a stage, that doesn't mean Tupac is on the stage. You see, but if I don't know anything about technology and how advanced it has become, then I will accept it at face value. Pay attention, face value. And what's the value of the face? The value of the face is whatever value you want to associate with it. And you may use theology, you may use philosophy, you may use mathematics to assign a value to a face. All right, meaning science or mathematics are the 1.618 ratio, the golden ratio, where they assigned a value to a face to say this is the beauty standard that people need to uphold in society. Okay, and interestingly enough, they aligned that beauty standard to fit more of the facial features of who would refer to as the Caucasoids or the Caucasians. All right, and use math to do it. All right, you see what I'm explaining to you? So more people have started to accept that over time and say, okay, well then the Caucasoids must be more pretty. All right, or the beauty standards of Beyonce must be the beauty standards that I go after to try to obtain for myself. And you see that in real time, people doing it to this day. They still chiseling themselves. They cutting off their nose. All right, you see every time a Glorilla when they got a new nose, people still getting new noses, trying to take their lips out because they want to look more and more like the bougie women that they encountering at these rich parties that you don't see them at, and they getting influenced by them. All right, and they getting taken to these meetings and these workshops where they can learn what was the what type of etiquette was it? The etiquette of the what was it? The not the brunch, but similar to that, the something to that effect. It's etiquette where you sit down and you eat. You see what I'm explaining to you? So they learning that, or they'll go around and try to see if I should tighten my waist or lift my nose up when I'm speaking. And they learning all of that, and they watching the people that are their favorites, and they get lighter and lighter over time. Lil' Kim didn't start that light. Lil' Kim didn't have that slim nose in the beginning, but as she went on, it just like she gets lighter and lighter and lighter. So it's this beauty standard that people are competing for. You see what I'm explaining to you? I think it was the banquet was the word. But the beauty standard, people are competing for that, and then eventually they start losing their central self. All right, so what happens? You start finding that these people that are fighting for this pretty position, okay, like what Beyonce said in her song, that pretty hurts, you see them end up on drugs. You see them leaning on vices to fuel or fill those empty spaces. You see, and next thing you know, they're going further and further away from what's referred to as solace. Okay, you see the word solace, like Bryson Tiller was just speaking about, where he said, get away from the vices and go toward the solace. Right there in the word solace, you have the word soul. Okay, soul, phonetically S-O-U-L, all right? Literally or etymologically Latin, you have soul to be the center or the sun, all right? Why do I say the center? Because the sun is the center of your solar system. The solar center is the sun or the soul. All right, and you have a soul that they speak about that's supposed to be in you too, which is a part of your central nervous system, okay, or your central processing unit, your brain, your psyche, or your mind. So you have soul, and then you have lace or solace. Soul, lace, solace, okay, and solace or lace is to say what? A rope, okay? Specifically, they'll say a noose, all right? So when you're speaking in terms of solace, it's like you're almost saying when people say, I want to get away from the vices, I want to go towards solace. All right, I want to be more stable. I want to have this. So you're attempting to grab that rope, hold on to it, that rope of home, the rope of the center, and find your soul again. And it's still going to lead you to a stable mind, a sober mind, if you would rather say it like that. So sobriety is more of a favorable existence, okay, or a realistic existence than existence of drunkenness or an existence of being high all the time, which isn't really high, okay, which is low, or an existence of being strung out, you see? But again, people get caught up in the illusion. So the further you get away from the vices and the closer you get to the center, more solace you'll find. The more comfort is what you're really trying to say when we say solace. Okay, it's like console. You see the word soul there still. Okay, the more comfort you'll find. And that spirit of truth is that spirit of comfort. They say, howbeit the spirit of truth. They refer to it as the comforter. You see, when you speak to people and you're asking for advice, meaning give me advisory, something that I could see beyond what I'm able to see right now, and they're able to step forward and advise you. You see how close vise and vice are, by the way? I mean, that should be alarming, just in the tones where the things you think are seen to be good may not be good unless you have that God sight. Similar to when in the book of Genesis, they talk about, oh, this was good. I saw the gold, it was good. I saw the land, it was good. I saw the water, the fish. I saw the trees, it was good. And the man was like, what about me? He was like, Never said that they saw the man and it was good. Never said that they saw male and female created he, them, and it was good. You see, so there's a God eye or an overstanding where you have that pyramid activated, listen, with that eye on the top, you overstand it, and you have an overstander's point of view, as opposed to the understander's point of view. You see, okay, well then you'll be able to see without having to be up under the vices. You see, so vice and vise, that's real close. Now, like I said, that's alarming to me just seeing that right now. But the point is, you go to somebody for advice and they give you that advice, and then they're able to add that advisory to your life, and you can see better or see more clearly, and you're speaking to them, and their voice alone can be comforting just because of the truth, all right, that's able to be delivered from them. And even still, sometimes that truth doesn't start off as comfortable, which is why there's a spiritual irritation, as they call it, right? We have people's spirits being irritated. You want to know what that means? It means that what you're used to is being shifted around and it's not comfortable. Same way as if you're attempting to break an addiction, is not a comfortable thing to do most of the time, because your brain has already gotten into the habits of doing this way, this way, this way, that way, that way, that way, these things. You see, and now you're moving forward and say, I don't want to do it this way anymore. So you're not literally just changing your habits, you're also shifting your habitat. The things around you are going to start to change. And if they don't, then you run more of a risk of falling back into the same habits, which will yield same habitats. So that would be the realm of comfort. And that mirror reality, or that illusionary reality, is a realm of comfort for a lot of people, because they just want things to be how they look. You say, if it looks like somebody is leading a revolution, then people are comfortable. If it looks like somebody's a spiritual teacher, obviously people are comfortable. Look at all these spiritual leaders that came through wasting people's time. If it looks like people are going to win and get this done, and if it looks like they're losing weight because they're sucking in their stomach, they'll accept it, say, I'm losing weight. You know what I'm saying? That real work that you actually have to do is a lot less comfortable at times, and it requires more energy, so people decide not to do that. Okay? So they just rather look in the mirror. The mirror can lie to you. Depending on what angle you're looking at it from, you'll have a different image every time. You can look at this person. Here's the person here. Okay? The person, you know what I'm saying? You see them, and they'll be standing there, and then you change the view of what you're looking at, or how you're looking at them, and here's them. You know what I'm saying? Or you change the view of how you're looking at them, and here's them with their shoulders, and they're facing this way or that way. You see? So depending on what angle you're looking at the person, it's going to shift and change. So mirrors are not a reliable source of the determining factors of reality. You see, or what determines reality. You can't look in the mirror and say, this is reality. And there are a lot of literal reasons for why you can't do that, or why it's not wise to do that. And let me explain it further. Okay, then we get into the topos part, or the world part, or line part, the eon, age, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay? So let's say this is the mirror. I have a mirror here, and I'm standing in the mirror, which is not a literal thing. I'm actually standing by the mirror. Okay, and I raise my right hand. Okay, in the mirror, what's going to happen? It seems as though I raised my right hand. That's normal. Everybody goes home. But the observer with the overstander's point of view realizes that something just took place, okay? But they can only do that if they literally place themselves in that thing that just took place, past that thing that took place, to swap places with what they're looking at, which they think is them. Say, what are you talking about? I'm speaking in terms of what's referred to as lateral inversion. Lateral inversion. Okay? Y'all can do this right now. If you go to a mirror and you can still hear me, or you can take the phone, device, whatever, go to a mirror, put your right hand up to the mirror. All right? You have to swap places with yourself. Swap places with yourself. All right? This is the back. So let's draw a snapback right here. See his hat? Snapback. This is the back of the person. Well, you're not going to see that looking at it that way. All right? This is the person's left hand. Let's put L. All right? From the perspective of this version, listen, inversion, keep in mind in, all right? From the perspective of this version of this person, this left becomes right if they turn themselves around and back up into the mirror. You see? Which will be the reality of what's looking back at them. You see that? And this, what they thought was their right hand, becomes what? Their left hand. You see that? So human beings are only perceiving reality based off of their own observation, their perception. You see, when someone looks at you, they're looking at you and they can see this is this person's left hand. This is that person's right hand. That's why they'll say, raise your right hand. You see, if you stand in front of somebody and you raise your right hand and you're about to swear on the Bible, they say, raise your right hand. And they do it with you, okay, to signify solidarity, all right? It's not the same thing as a mirror. So don't let nobody tell you peace reflection. That don't make sense. You see what I'm explaining to you? Unless they're speaking in terms of the reflection of light. The reflection of light would actually mean you're reflecting the sun or whatever source of light would be emitting that light, okay, to be reflected off of you. So if you're standing up under electrical lights, okay, then you're the reflection of that electrical light's emission. You're not a reflection of people. It is very clear. So I just showed you how to test that out. Stand in front of somebody, say, let's raise our right hand. They're not going to raise their left unless they don't know their what? Left from their right. One more time. Their left from their right is relative to the person or the being itself or themselves. You see? So no, we're not reflections of one another. That's another illusion. Okay? Even still, if you're looking at a reflection of yourself, as you call it, in the mirror, is still inverted laterally. The word lateral just means by its side, okay, to the side. Another way to say it is inverted from left to right, okay, or horizontally. So a lot of people think that it's saying that literally the mirror does some magic and it just changes it. You have to understand this is literally the world you're observing is different inside of that mirror. So there's another version of yourself looking out at you. That's truth. Now, whether or not you're speaking in terms of quantum realities and mirror worlds beyond this dimension, there's a whole other conversation that you can have. It just depends on how many degrees you possess to be able to have it. The point is, they can't negate that you're observing something that has swapped and shifted. So it's no longer the same exact thing as it was before you beheld a mirror. You see, or what? Specular reflection. You understand? So in this mirror, your right hand is perceivably your left, okay, when you're observing your reflection. So this is how it would look from an overstander's point of view. This is the mirror, all right? This is you. This is still you. Let's say this is you, the original you, all right? So the original you has its hands to the mirror, all right? The remake you or the synthetic you has its, if you want to call it that, hands up to the mirror also. This is your right hand. This is your left hand. Now, this is the other versions of you, other version of you's or yours right hand, and this is their left hand. You see? So the only way you can perceive this image is based off of what I call, because I'm pretty wise and I'm pretty smart, reflective, rotational reality. 3 R's. Reflective, rotational reality. Meaning, this is literally what's happening when you're observing that image. So fundamentally, this will be that axis that's being shifted or things are being shifted around. What things? How you're viewing. Okay? So your viewpoint is shifted around an axis. You could say around the z-axis. Okay? Because your depth of field, which is why I told you, remember that N word. Okay, not N word. Niggas like niggas. No, not niggas. In as in and out, depth. Okay? You have the X, which normally is speaking in terms of the width, and the Y, which is normally speaking in terms of the Z, the height. And then you have the Z, which is normally speaking in terms of the depth. Okay? So for you, your Z-axis is what you would turn around. Like right now I'm sitting in a swivel chair. If I rotate in the swivel chair, I'm rotating around or about the Z-axis. So from the overstander's point of view, you need to use reflective rotational reality in order to observe your image in the mirror. So what apparently your left and your right swap. Now, here's something you need to understand about. That's why I told you, keep in mind about that in and out, the depth, the lateral inversion, okay? Because when you're looking at that mirror, you'll notice that things don't flip upwards and downwards. They only flip apparently left and right, which is really rotational. You see, you have to place yourself in the seat of the observer that's in the mirror. So there is no up and down swapping, just the left and right. And it's all based on your perception. So in order for you to, let's say you wanted to access, let's take it to a different degree if you're ready. Let's say you wanted to access a different type of reality and you had your mind open to the potential that you could access what's referred to as a mirror world or a dimension, as you want to call it, or realm inside of the mirror. In order for you to do that, to travel per se through whatever that looking glass would be, as they call it, you would have to shift your perspective. Okay, you couldn't stay how you are now. You would have to see right for left. You would have to see left for right, and it would have to be done around or about the front to back axis, okay, which is that Z axis. You would have to shift literally your perception of depth. You see, I'm explaining it to you. So just looking at a mirror alone is accessing a realm that isn't the realm you're familiar with. And when you're beholding the mirror, you're sharing that observation with another version of you through lateral inversion. You see that? It's all in the words. And again, the type of mirror that this happens through is the specular mirror or the specular reflection. You see? Now, if I were to hold a word up, let's say I put another mirror here, right? And I have a word. Let's say we write out something and I hold up the word, okay? But it's on the other side of here and the word is right here and it's word, okay? But it's actually spelled backwards over here, all right? That will look weird to the observer, okay? If I were to use transparent paper though, or some type of transparent material, and I wrote it the same way, if I wrote word, okay, it wouldn't reflect backwards. So what's the science here? The person that's in the mirror, brace yourself. In reality of how we're perceiving it, the person in the mirror is actually looking through at you. Go test out what I just showed you. They're looking through at you. You will have to write a word on a transparent piece of fabric or material to see what I'm saying. That the light isn't behaving as though it's reflecting off of a mirror, even though that's what we're taught scientifically. It's actually behaving as if it's shining through the mirror. You see? So that's where you get into the science of looking through, not looking at. Why would I say that? Because the word perspective, and you can go look this up, perspective, okay? This word per is saying through, all right? And spective is saying to look, you see, or to see, specere. So perspective means to look through. And per your perspective, you are looking through the mirror. This is what Dr. Melakazi York was teaching, that you'll watch the mirror and pay attention to the mirror long enough, and you will see that it's not you looking into the mirror, it's somebody or something in the mirror looking back at you. I know that's a whole different degree. I'm not telling you that's scientifically supported. However, I don't think any scientist in their right mind would debate or negate the fact that light in the mirror doesn't behave as though it's reflecting only. It behaves as if, especially when an image is seen in it, it's behaving as if it's moving through the mirror. You see? Now, I was put on the mirror tests, the mirror challenges, whatever you want to call it, scrying. I was put on that at like 4 or 5 years old. So I have a lot of experience in working with mirrors. A lot of people were scared to do that. I wasn't scared to do that. You want to know why I wasn't afraid to do mirror tests? Because I'm optimistic. Only people who are pessimistic are afraid to do the mirror test. What would be a mirror test? All right, let's say, get another piece right here. Let's say this is a mirror, okay? And this is you. All right, let's say this is your bathroom sink, okay? You could put tea light candles. Let's imagine these are tea light candles, all right? On your bathroom. I have to put out a disclaimer. I just heard to say this. All right, before you do stuff like this, you want to make sure you take about 3 days to 7 days. So you can't have no excuse. Why I'm saying 3 days? Because the subconscious is reprogrammed every 72 hours. You can test it out, look into it, that the dream state is most active from things that you experienced 72 hours ago up to the current state. So there's a reprogramming of your subconscious, as you call it, where things are most relevant to the conscious mind that's accessing these things as information stored in databases, all right, every 72 hours. So if you take at least 3 days and you stop watching the pornography, stop taking in the drugs and all this extra stuff, stop taking in the devilish music, don't watch horror movies, things like that. You take 3 days to 7 days of reflective thinking. I don't mean that in any pun, just actual reflective thinking, introspection, okay? Think of yourself, drink water, meditate, and relax, and don't do all this. Take time with self before you do this. Why? Because I'm responsible for telling you that some people have a bad trip when they look in the mirror. Some people have a bad trip when they do what I'm telling you that you are able to do. So I have to be responsible with telling you some things that I am able to explore and look into, and I've tested out myself, that can help people not have those types of experiences. Why did I say the word bad trip? Because a lot of people want people on drugs and psychedelic medicine, all this other stuff. You don't need that. I never used it. I'm telling you, you don't need it. You will go your ass on a trip, and you're going to think you tripping if you do what I'm telling you. But first, I want to put that disclaimer out there just in case some of y'all think y'all bold enough, and you may be who I'm talking to that need to take more time before you do it. All right, you won't be able to make excuses or blame me for what you encounter. Okay? All right, cool. So let's say you take 15 minutes minimum. Set a timer. You say 15 minutes, that's nothing. You ain't never observed the idea of self for 15 minutes. Not just 15 minutes. Some of y'all probably have, depending on how conceited you are. Not just 15 minutes of observation. So you take 15 minutes and you turn the, what do you call it? The electrical lighting off. So it's low lighting, low, natural. That's another thing that's very important. Lighting. And I'm saying natural just for the sake of conversation, because everything in this realm would technically be natural and based on naturality. I'm just saying, not man-made, okay? Even though if you put the lighter to the tea light candle, technically you made the fire. Either way, fire. That's what I'm saying. Fire lightning. Fire lighting by the candle, okay? So low natural lighting that comes from candles, 15 minutes, and you just, and close the door too. Close the door. Close the door. Close the door. You see? Now I would say lock it, but I ain't gonna do that to you yet. Start here. Don't lock it. Close the door. Low natural lighting. 15 minutes, and look at yourself. All right? That's what you're gonna see. That's why I drew it that way. Now, depending on your state, okay, and your ability to reason with self, you're going to see different types of images and forms of you. Some of y'all may look and see this. Some of y'all may look and see this. It literally depends on who you are and where you are. So don't think if you look and you see yourself start to morph like them characters that they show you on the Devil's Advocate movie, Angels and Demons Rescue type movie, I think it was. I think it was Devil's Advocate. Okay? Don't think that just because you start seeing yourself change like that, that means that you are inevitably or inherently evil. No, it doesn't mean that. However, there may be something in you at that time that is coming out because you're exposing yourself to the lack of luster. All right? And luster saying that light that you see right here, that's so important to everybody for them to be able to observe things. You see? So when you remove that, your subconscious jumps into overdrive and you start filling in spaces. You start filling in what you don't see. And you want to know what you have to use to fill in what you don't see? Your unconscious you. The you that you haven't spoken to in a while. The you that you've been trying to run from. The you that has tendencies that you don't want the world to know. What Pop say? The high heels in your closet? Yeah, it's going to come out. You're going to literally see a high heel on your face. My point is, if all that shadow work people claiming they done, take 15 minutes, low lighting, just look at you and never break eye contact. Those are the rules. I'm going to say that. Don't break eye contact. No, trust me, you'll see your eyes, okay? You'll also see this. It'll start to morph and move and shift, and your subconscious is going to meet you. Your unconscious is going to say, hey, what's up? And some of y'all are going to scream. Some of y'all are going to run out. Some of y'all are going to be at peace. You're going to experience serenity. About 1% experience some serenity. The other 99% experience discomfort, disbelief, traumatic experiences, sounds, audio-verbal hallucinations. They feel tactile interaction. Something touches them and reaches out. What are you doing, FaZe? Hey, they asked for the degrees. I'm going to give it to them. That's why we had to build up through the science to get where we at. Okay? It's going to be based on you. So, again, if you feel like you're good and you're ready, some of y'all going to be ready for anything. You might feel like you're ready now. Go in there. Because if you experience something negative, don't look at it as a negative thing. Shift your observation point from pessimistic to optimistic. You want to know what that means? When I say pessimistic or optimistic, it's just saying, pessimist is saying the worst thing. Okay? Optimist is saying the best thing. So some people might find out that they're a black devil in life. Some people, not just black devil, just a devil, period. Don't put a race on it. Somebody might find out they're a devil. And one person, they're going to find out they're a devil, and they're going to resent the truth. And it's going to bring out more of the devil in them. Some people will find out they're a devil or they're demonic, and they're going to do better to change that. And it's going to bring out more of what you call the God in them. You see, and they're going to shift their deeds around. You understand? So that's referred to as the mirror test. All right? Or the mirror challenge, however you want to say the words. Again, take your time with stuff like this. I have to be cautious because this is other level. And I'm not one of those people who's saying this other level to sound deep. I'm telling you it's actually other level. And people that got mad at me in the past, that's why I done, sharpened up on how I teach certain things. And people done disassociated themselves. They thought they were ready. I showed them something. I remember I was sitting in with a sister. I was in high school, right? So I was standing at this sister's house because my stepfather had kicked me out. There was a whole lot of stuff going on. I was standing at this sister's house, and we sitting on her bed, and she's like, what is all this stuff that you be teaching in the Pharaoh clan, da-da-da-da, woo-da-woo? I said, because we was literally sitting in the dark. Only thing was coming in was moonlight. I said, all right, sit up. So she sat up. We sitting in the middle of her bed, right? I said, okay, put your hands in front of you. She said, okay, cool. I said, imagine that you're holding a box. That's how you need to be holding your hands. So she did that. I said, okay, now start making a motion as if you're running in slow motion, but don't move your hands off the box. Imagine that the box is sitting still and you're able to rub the box in a running motion, okay, circular, but you don't move your hands away from the box. So she did that. And she said, whoa, what? She said, what's that? I said, what it feel like? She said, it feel like magnets. I said, exactly. I said, now keep doing it. And she kept doing it. I said, now move your hands further away from each other and keep doing it. And she kept doing it. She was like, whoa, hold on. And she stopped. I said, what? I said, you felt that? She said, I said, what? I said, what did it feel like? She said, madness, but electric. She said, also like I'm holding an electric slinky. I said, exactly. I said, okay, now watch this. Here's what she said. No, I had enough. That's what you mean I had enough. She said, no, this is too much. She said, I'm just gonna lay down. And she laid down. You see what I'm explaining to you? And for me, that's just normal stuff. But for her, she don't even know what, because it's operating in the unseen, which doesn't mean magical. It just means magnetic. That's what chi is speaking in terms of, the negative and positive. Kundalini is magnetism, but everybody wants to make it magic. I don't understand. But she couldn't handle it. She just said, lay down. So you want to know the next step? I'll come on here and teach you chi energy. Now, chi energy or ki energy, people running around on Instagram so act like they understand it. Listen, that shit is a dangerous thing to know. It's why I don't like fighting, because I'm afraid of what happens when I punch someone. You see, I don't mean literally like, ooh, afraid. I mean, I know that I can punch you and knock your solar plexus loose. I know that I can. You see? So I'd rather not. Oh, let's fight. You're thinking of beating me up. I'm thinking they don't know that I am not aware of my own strength ever. I'm never aware of my own strength, because when you know ki or chi, there's strength beyond you always that's moving. Every time you breathe in air, you're breathing in things that are beyond you. You don't know what you're breathing in. Calculate it right now. What was the amount of nitrogen that you breathe in? What was the amount of oxygen that you breathe in? How many molecules, you understand? How many substances, individual substances did you just breathe in? You don't know what you're talking about. So a lot of people think chi is just breathing heavy and being able to break a brick. No, chi is oops. And chi don't mean you be in shape too. I've seen people that be done, they 300 pounds and they chi is so on point. Okay, and this is, I had to come on here and do it because it's a whole nother thing. Okay, there are certain teachings that people try to teach like there's some one size fits all teaching, and that's not how this works. There are genetic sciences that different people are going to receive different ways based off of what they're literally able to receive based on their genetics. Okay, so if I say this is how you reach up and touch the sky, and a nigga is 4'5", they ain't gonna be able to reach as far as a 7'7" person. You see what I'm explaining to you? Do you get the analogy? That not everything is for everybody universally. Okay? The same way I say, I'm gonna teach you the science of the shoe. I can teach you the science of the shoe. But when it comes time for you to put them on, you can't wear a size 5 if you're a size 12. You can't wear a size 12 if you're a size 5. You can attempt to, but it won't be the right what? Fit. They'll say, this isn't fit for you. That's why the chi masters, the class masters, the whoever coming through to raise you up in any degree, they'll put you with groups of people that are more like-minded and around your degree. You see, I'm not even your degree, your class. You see? Same way we was in school. They had gifted classes. They had advanced placement, AP statistics, and then you got regular math. You understand? So some people, if they tried to go and do regular math, it wouldn't work for them because they're too advanced for it. You see, and that'll mess up how they got the flow going with their students, because then this becomes the brainiac and it upsets the ecosystem. You got to put that one in the advanced placement. And then advanced placement may be too slow, so you might got to put them in gifted classes. Okay, or they got to change schools if the school is too slow altogether. All right, in the same way, you can't put somebody who's not on the level of the gifted child in the gifted class. They won't survive. You see, some things may be too fast paced. They may not be too much of a visual learner. They might be more this and da. You see my point? So the point is, everybody's going to have different ways that they receive the info. So I will have to teach chi or ki a different way. You see that? So there it is. You have the mirror test. Everybody can attempt it. Everybody can do it. All right. It's all going to be based off of your observation or your perspective. I use observation more, okay, because you're going to be listening for things too. You're going to hear warping sounds that start to form sentences. You're going to realize that what you thought was just water talk, you know what I'm saying, was a voice. You know, nigga, you know you wasn't shit for pushing that nigga down off the slide. Slide. Whoa. You know what I'm saying? I was 3. Yeah, you was 3, but you know you weren't shit. You see what I'm saying to you? So don't be getting mad at me. You say, face. No, I don't want to hear it. I shouldn't have pushed him. Yeah, you should have pushed him. He broke his ankle, bro. You see? So that starts screaming out. Y'all think I'm playing, but then you're going to play and then you're going to find out. This is where they get that stand in the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times from. Okay? But they did it on purpose. They want to demonize all of our sciences. You see? Because these sciences, it raises you to a different degree. You may access something that I don't even know was there just because you're able to do this. And you're a different being than I am, even though we're all a part of that same system. So they're all that Candyman, the incantation, the Bloody Mary, they got all that shit from us. You see? And it has everything to do with your brain, your center, and your perspective or your observation. So your perspective, let's say this is you looking at the mirror. Okay? And here's your eye, and your line of sight is here, and the mirror is here. Okay? Here's what you need to remember. And it's gonna work not just with you looking at things, it's gonna work with you hearing things, and when you think you're touching things. Remember, we spoke about the electromagnetic repulsion of you think you're touching, but you're not really touching something. There's actually a barrier there that's more on the level of magnets than something being felt as you think it is. So feeling is just saying, I'm aware of the science of magnets, okay, of opposites attract and similars or like ones, okay, they repel, all right? So you have a line of sight, okay? So you have your central vision, okay? And then you'll have your peripheral vision. So you're going to see the mirror. You're going to see yourself looking back at you. You see? However, you're going to also see darkness around you too. And you're going to see darkness around you also. So you want to know what's going to wind up happening? This is going to narrow in. It's going to get more and more narrow, especially with you maintaining eye contact with you. And you're going to get closer to your central self. You want to know what's going to come with it? Your thoughts. The more your vision narrows in, the more your thoughts will. You want to know what's going to come with it? Your perception of space. Spatial reality is going to shrink. I mean, I'm telling you, you got to be ready for this type of stuff because your subconscious is really going to be fighting through. Okay, so remember, you're not just looking at something straight on. There's a peripheral side to it also. You're not just having an initial thought or a central thought. There are also other thoughts that partner together to form around that thought for that thought to exist. Same way matter comes together to be a quote-unquote thing. Every thought is a composition or a composite of other smaller thoughts. Every neuron system or all neural activity is based on smaller neurons coming together to form that system as activity. You see that? So your field of vision is going to alter when you're looking into that mirror doing that test. All right? Another thing you can do is, and this might not be for everybody to do because literally it takes more time. All right? Take a mirror, if you have one, outside with you. All right? And you can sit up under moonlight and look into the mirror and test it that way. All right? And sit in darkness and listen for the crickets, listen for the wind, listen for multiple things that is not just your breathing, and then bring it closer and closer to yourself, the things that you're hearing, all right, to the point where it is your breathing. You see that? And that'll help you access these other degrees. Other things that you can do to prepare for accessing the mirror world beyond the first degree we were speaking about is I want you all to look into symmetry. All right? Symmetry. Or another way, this will be closer to what I really want to put you on to. Symmetrical therapy. Yes, that's a real thing. I've looked into it for a while. Symmetrical therapy. Symmetrical therapy is being able to look at something that would be, let's say this is your shape. Let's say you put up these shapes or sigils in your room. All right? This is a therapeutic shape or symbol because it's symmetrical. Symmetry equals solace. Those of y'all who dealing with all kind of anxiety and stuff like that, start drawing images like squares. All right? Draw them, decorate them, and hang them up in your room. Make a habit out of it, even if you just do it on Post-it notes. All right? You may want to do a circle too. All right. I would advise, before I advise a circle, I say a square, okay, or something as simple like a hexagram, because circles, even though they're more of a quote unquote simple image, it's harder to draw. But if you can get that, then it will be more of an integral, all right, symmetry or symmetrical shape. You want more integral symmetry. So if you got rulers and you can measure it, that'll help more. You got graph paper, that'll help more. Why? Because when your brain takes in the image of something that's balanced like that, you find peace and comfort, which is why nobody should be running around trying to put people onto this shape. Okay? It's a shape of disorder. Literally, scientifically, mathematically, it's a shape of disorder. You see? So this is orderly in alignment with the sun. All right? You see how even the images of the sun we grew up drawing were symmetrical, at least basically or fundamentally. This is alignment with the moon. It is not symmetrical. You see that? And it done cause people to lose their mind. You see a lot of people, they wind up under the Baphomet or the moon, and they lose their sense of self, as you call it, or sense of reality. They're more prone to psychosis. Why? Because they're anxious. You know what I mean? You got to calm the anxiety down. Find that calm position, the center. All right? And it helps with symbols like this. The more symmetry that you find present, it don't matter just that one thing, anywhere, the more peaceful the mind is encouraged to be. You see that? So you're looking for symmetry, you're looking for solace. All right? You're looking for solace, you're looking for symmetry. Remember that. That's your rope that's going to lead you to the center of the sun and calm you down. Now go study what I just said. All solace seekers are looking for the ability to reconnect with their central self. All right? And symmetry lines you up at that axis in the center. Say right here, everything goes through it. You see? No matter how you turn, that's correspondence. All right? Interestingly enough, the correspondence, like I talked to y'all about the word core. Core meant what? Heart. And respondence. All right? But also core meant with. All right? And the word respondence was saying an answer. Okay? So if you're looking to walk with an answer, you understand my point there? Something that's agreeable, because another way to say correspondence is to agree with. If you're looking for a more agreeable existence, then pursue the science of symmetrical therapy. And you can do it yourself. You don't have to wait on somebody else to do it for you. You don't have to go and lay on nobody's couch. It's a different type of therapy. All right? I would advise y'all to do stuff like that, especially when it comes to preparing yourself for shadow work and all of that. You don't have to go right into or jump right into shadow work. You can take your, maybe we got to come on and do it. Let's do that. Well, come on. The next class we'll do will be shadow work. All right. If I forget, y'all remind me. Next class we'll do in a new day will be shadow work. And after that, we can talk about what you call the chi energy or key energy. All right. So this is one of the A's in that. You got to be at peace. You got to be at peace with yourself, the things that you've done, all of that. When people say, look in the mirror, you need to look in the mirror. Now, look beyond the mirror. And I just showed you that. You need to look beyond the mirror, okay? What you're looking for with that introspection is right there in your brain. And you don't see that in the mirror. You see, you have to access your brain consciously with reflective thinking, deep breathing, meditation, things like that. But you look in the mirror, you ain't going to find that. Looking in the mirror gives you the external or the phenotypical updates. Yeah, you're going to be able to see what you look like on the outer shell. But when people start talking about the go within, as I was telling y'all, that requires more knowledge of correspondence, knowing all of the different triggers and things that you have endured that brought you to this place. How did you get here? From the internal, meaning how did you deal with stimulus? But what was the stimulus? You see what I'm saying? The external and the internal. That is how you figure out and pull out the things that don't need to be there or you don't want to be there inside of self or in your mind. Changing your mind or repenting. You see? So don't just look in the mirror. Tell them next time space, look in the mirror. No, I'm gonna look in myself. I'm gonna look in my brain. I'm gonna search my brain. I'm gonna search my habits. I'm gonna search the things I do, the things I think that nobody can hear but myself. I'm gonna search that and I'm gonna compartmentalize it and I'm gonna tame the things that I don't want present. You see, I'm not gonna get mad at the monkey in my mind with the symbols. You see, the monkey is the, what do you call it? The baboon, ibis type being. Ibis is the bird version. The baboon would be the monkey version of Tehuti, wisdom. So I'm not upset with that monkey. The monkey is attempting to get my attention for some reason. All right. I want to make sure I keep the monkey censored, because if the monkey get out and wind up on my back, then I'm what? Dealing with vices and addiction, going against diction. What's diction? Speaking in terms of wording or words. All right. Or the word of God. Diction, against the word of God. You see, I need to go closer to the word of God. Metu neter. All right. You learn metu neter from Heka. Heka got their finger in front of their mouth saying, be quiet. The word of God isn't spoken. The word of God operates on the non-verbal plane, not the verbal plane. That's why I tell you the women understand it more than men do, because they're already non-verbal beings. When they're speaking, it's more about what they're not saying, you see what I'm saying, than it is about what they're saying. Their expressions happen in the non-verbal plane. You learn how to read that, then you'll be able to work with them better. You see? And work with self better, because you'll learn that aspect of self. So Heckel was saying, be quiet. It's when you be quiet or be silent, okay, and you activate that silence, not only do you have the true light, what do you have? The true sound. Psi, the mind or the soul, all right? Lens, eye, the mind's eye or the mind's eyes. Let's say eye. It ain't broken. Mind's eye, okay? Psi, mind or mind's eye. You use that and you search in. That's what Dr. Melchizedek York called the journey within. Looking at all your potential, the things you're dealing with, all of that, and what you can grow to become. Not just the acceptance of the now, seeing that the now is not done. All right, it's ongoing. So we'll come back and we'll do shadow work. Any questions on mirror reality or mirror worlds? Mind over matter. Should you put a timer on your phone for 50? You should. You should. For two reasons. One, so you keep track of that time. Two, the sound of the alarm clock is going to cause a ripple in your being. You see what I'm explaining to you? It's like when you're going to rest and then somebody slams a sound and then you jump from theta back into beta. All right, but that theta is still lingering on you. That's how they actually used to train themselves to access theta, by the way. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you do that for the sound that it makes. Okay, breaking focus is not a bad thing when you're learning how to dip through states of consciousness also at the same time. So that sound will not only shake you up a bit, okay, it's going to cause you to breathe a different way when you hear it, especially if you're invested. All right, your breathing will be different. Then you can moderate your breathing and the retention can be increased. I mean, it's a whole science to it. You don't gotta, it's based on you. Test it out and see if it works. But I'd say leave the sound on, all right, not just vibration. Let it ring out, okay, so you can be pulled back here quickly and have to deal with it from that standpoint. Like a shock of entrance is what we learned as Masons. I'm curious, FaZe, hold on, let me see what y'all got. What do you gain from entering the mirror world? What do you mean? Which one? Which one? 'Cause we talked about a few of them. Getting trapped in the mirror is a myth. I don't know if it's a myth. Because you wouldn't know if somebody got trapped in the mirror, would you? So I don't know if it's a myth. What happens if you do it longer than 15? When you do it longer than 15 minutes? You know you can overdo things. It ain't broken. I'm curious, FaZe, did you change anything after you saw yourself in the mirror? No, I was waiting for what people were saying. I never experienced anything negative. I just was at peace. I'm not even playing with you, like, and I do this on a regular. It's not always the moon lighting. It's not always the candle lighting. All right. Sometimes I'll go in because I'm on a different degree. I go in and I close the door with no lighting, and I'll just look in the mirror. But I'm okay with me. People ask me all the time. Somebody was upset with me, and because I was calling them out on, one of the brothers really called them out on the symbols that they was rocking with and things like that. They were like, he trying to come at everybody, but he got his own demons and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know who you talking to. I don't have demons. I don't have skeletons in my closet. I don't have none of that. I don't even have here. I'm just busy. I'll be all right. I'll be gone one day. You know what I'm saying? I'm just doing things. But I don't have that. And this is just me. I'm speaking of me. And I'm not putting anybody down if you do. I don't have skeletons in my closet. I don't know what that is. I know people talk about it. With anything that I'm able to come to grips with self. With anything I do is dignified enough that I know, okay, this decision is mine. So no, I don't experience that. I didn't feel like I needed to change anything with the mirror test. The mirror test is just like the onset also. You walk around with the mirror test. If I need to change something, I'll actively change it. The mirror test doesn't show me that. No more than a tarot card can confirm what I already know. You see? Does this affect your eyes in a way where no matter how much you blink, everything gets blurry? I don't know about that. I was staring in the mirror today. I almost felt like my reflection was staring back, but not how I was. Yeah. I've experienced that. What about when breathing under the moonlight, bringing everything closer until it becomes you? What significance is a meditation tactic, a method of meditation? You understand? So it's getting closer to, is learning more about you, meaning your processes of breathing, whether or not you can focus this type of way or that type of way when there's nobody around and it's just you and you're thinking. Being able to compartmentalize sound is a real gift. Selective hearing isn't some jest that you throw around. Selective hearing is real. And people are trained to do that. Well, they'll be in a room talking to you, but they're tuned in to another conversation. You understand? People are actually trained. You don't think people in the CIA, the FBI? Mostly the CIA. Those are the type of gifts for clairaudient and rest of people that are able to listen to things in compartments. So everybody else is talking, but you're selecting what you're hearing. You see, you'll be surprised how many people don't use selective hearing, and you'll be also surprised how many people do and don't know they're doing it. Some people talking around you and you nosy, and you acting like you're talking to the person that's there, but you shift your hearing to tune into what that's real life. It's a gift though, and some people have it more than others. So I could be definitely talking to somebody and talking to three people, and you on the porch talking, and I travel right where you at, using the sound. I'm not talking about no magic stuff, and I listen in, and I go on autopilot for the people that's in front of me. Never mind. Never mind. No shame after you face you. True freedom. Yeah. I don't have shame before I face me. How I wish I would be able to say I don't have skeletons in my closet. Whole lot of cardwells. Yeah, clean them out. Are you going to keep them there? Thanks for explaining the method. Many mediums use this method of mirror scrying, so it must pull in electric. This is why I was going to go into scrying, and I kept doing my best to get around to it. But every time I was about to go into it, I was feeling like not to speak on it. I don't know why. But I tell you, this is different. Stuff speeding up too. Like I want to teach a lot more stuff. But I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird feeling. Because I'm normally the one that's like, tell it. But it's like, someone told me to hold that back for now. I don't know why. But scrying is actually different than mirror looking. People misuse those words. Scrying is more like the crystal ball degree. Scrying is like spying, remote viewing. So using a mirror to scry, that's misused. Scrying you don't need a mirror. You see, it requires biology or technology with the ability to look into people's life. I don't mean generally feel out how they're feeling. I mean, open up a window and look into their life. I don't think I can teach that because I don't think people are responsible enough to know how to, what that is and how to use that without, you know how this goes. I hope y'all know how this goes. I don't know if y'all know how this goes. Either way, I would love to teach that maybe another time. But no, scrying is not what you're saying. Scrying is something totally different. At least it's what I grew up around When I said in that song that I did with the brother 1440 Ty, I grew up in a house full of witches and prayer warriors. I'm not talking about the house. You see what I'm saying? Meaning like the four walls. I'm talking about, yeah, it was a lot of, boy. And I stayed around the women, the sisters, and I watched them and I observed them and they were super powerful. And the men were too, but they were quiet. The men that were on that level taught less than the men out here saying they can do this, that, and the third did or do. So, yeah, scrying is spying, family. All the people that be talking about scrying, they're talking about the mirror tests. You see what I'm saying? Looking in or accessing the looking glass or through the looking glass science. Spying, scrying. You see how they sound the same? That's a different thing. That's crystal ball. And people go to people to do that, by the way. Now, witness that. Witness that. Witness that. You mentioned putting yourself on autopilot. Are you familiar with some of the practices of the Golden Dawn? Nope. Or maybe, I don't know about that name. Can you speak on ascension whenever you feel? Okay, we can do a class on ascension. What's this live about? I'm just tuning in. This was me touching on mirror worlds. People ask about mirror world, mirror dimensions. I spoke more about it in my book, Nothing versus Everything. All right, so that's just me touching on mirror worlds. Yep, Sibylline. How many push-ups you did today? Phase, don't give up our science. Yeah, my Umi don't be playing. She actually do be getting on me. 'Cause I do be telling y'all way more than what we. But it's, I mean, I guess I'm respected amongst the covens and groups and families and orders. But I do be telling it, and then they be looking at me like, bro, why are you telling them so much? I feel like I'm coming up on that part of my journey where I'm going to stop showing so much. And you come out like, fuck it, we gonna tell them everything. And people misuse it, people abuse it, people misuse you or abuse you. They hate you, you know what I'm saying? You'll explain something, they'll say you're over-explaining, even though nobody explains anymore. They just tell you stuff and you believe it. So explanations is looked at as a bad thing. So it's too much explanation, that made it seem negative. So it's like, I think I'm getting to that point in the degree, because I'm already operating in the unseen light. I think I'm moving toward unspoken too. Because now people be saying things and I want to address it and I want to get to it, but it's like you are left behind. And I'm moving out. It's like the mercy is fading. Mercy is saying, no, I'm going to take this more. I'm going to make sure you get it. No, you're being retained. I'm graduating. I can't keep stopping and then you don't even fuck with me. They be hating you. And then want you to explain stuff. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? So I hear you when you say stop giving out the secrets, because I've been thinking about it lately. Like, even I used to jump to teach astral projection. We still ain't got to that part of it. So I feel like, because it's just different. Things are changing. Yeah, see, what do you know about astral projection? See? I used to teach it, and I'm doing my best to get us to that part on here. What about the breath under the moonlight? I talked about that. I just said that. Levels, yep. A mind of wisdom can't help but teach by the way they taught. Hey, you been doing this so long. Yeah, you know what? That's crazy, ain't it? Yeah, I've been teaching for 16 years. Since I was 10 years old. Damn near 17 years. I'm about to be 27 this month. I've been teaching for 16 years. I was teaching before then, technically. Because I used to teach when I was in pre-K, teach when I was in kindergarten. Anytime I got a chance, recess, whatever, I gather people up and we just talk, teach, and I tell them stuff that I learned. Ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell, and we're 4. And everybody gathers around. Santa Claus isn't real. Black History Month is fake. Christopher Columbus did not discover America. It was New America, nigga. And I was teaching shit I didn't even know how to spell. Christopher Columbus did not discover America. I heard one of y'all say earlier that the tooth fairy gave y'all $1. That was your mama? The same way your mama or your daddy give you presents. There is no Santa Claus. Rabbits don't lay eggs. I'm just going off the list. Rabbits don't lay eggs. Easter's fake. What else? Well, y'all okay? Why you crying? Don't cry. It's the truth. Truth is a happy thing. That's I'm in the office. Why am I in trouble? They couldn't even explain this shit to me. I had to wait till my woman get there, and they couldn't even explain it to her. Why is he in trouble? Well, we don't even fucking know. This just doesn't happen, and we just try to figure it out. Well, I don't teach my son lies, so, and I also don't teach my son to hold his tongue. So if he wanted to express it to them, that's on him. He touched it. I ain't never get scared when they say they gonna call my mom. I'm like, okay. My mom ain't come up on their side. She knows she don't got no idiot for no child. And you gonna tell on me? How about this? She told me everything I know. So you gonna tell her on me. Well, she taught me this shit. So all right, she ain't gonna do nothing but just, all right, you talk to my manager, she gonna say the same shit. I'll get her though. Yeah, it was you before me. Yeah, exactly. All right, a few more questions, y'all, before we get up out of here. Crazy. Does anyone know what Christopher means? I used to know what that meant. Something about Christ. He killing the illusion for other kids. Yeah, I was all the time. I'm still doing it, and they mad at me still, ain't they? They still crying. I'm still like, truth is a good thing. They still calling my mom. What do you think of owls that keep visiting me? I think it's Shaitan. No, they owls. I mean, are you saying you think Shaitan is visiting you? You saying you think Shaitan is visiting you as owls? That's fine. I mean, what do you want me to say? Bro, Shaitan got time to visit you as owls? You got to think about what I'm saying. If you do, then you need to be talking to Shaitan got a lot of information too, wisdom too. Shit, you need to be asking nigga what the fuck you want. Chill out. What you doing? Shit, chilling. Yeah, I need to ask you some questions. So what the fuck? Why y'all beefing? What the hell? What happened? I'd be nosy here, Shaitan pop up outside. Shaitan? Yup. The very same. Man, so what? All right, so everybody's saying all this shit with this and that. So what had happened? What had happened? You know motherfucking nosy when they voice get more airy. That Shaitan? Yeah. Man, so look though, so you were like, fuck this shit. So you was just like, fuck this shit for real? Bro, damn, then you fucked up, then they sent your ass down here, then. And I fucked up. Yeah, shit. I'm fuck with you. And get on. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to tell you. If Shaitan popping up on you, bro, you need to operate your authority self. Jesus wasn't scared and they were talking to him. Shit. You know Jesus was chilling. They ain't never say Jesus seen Satan and dipped and ran. And they ain't run. Shit. What book do I recommend reading from Positive Time? The Holy Tablets. You asked. Nah, for real. Tell my boy I said, thank you for showing me what not to do. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, bro, like, you got to think about it, bro. Like, I know y'all mad at the devil and shit like that, but you got to think about it, bro. God wasn't even really mad at the nigga, bro. He ain't never get mad at him, man. He got mad at y'all. But I can't think of one time God got mad at Satan, bro. Like, well, he ain't never get mad at the nigga, bro. He just like, bro, go on, bro. Go on, get the fuck on. Crawl on your belly. Then another time, he was like, man, what you been doing, bro? How you can't tell me God asked his man where comments, which comments down? And God know everything. But the nigga Satan pull up and he fucking exclusive. Nigga Satan went to heaven. Y'all don't remember that in the book of Job? Satan said, man, fuck this shit, I'm bored. Went to heaven. Went to heaven. Y'all can't even do that. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm speaking above myself. Maybe I need to speak into something totally different. Because I know y'all think y'all know what this is, right? Because y'all always have. But you beefing with a nigga. You beefing with a nigga, you don't even know why y'all beefing. You don't even know why y'all beefing. So niggas mad at a nigga, you probably don't even know who the fuck that is. Y'all could be thinking Satan is God, God is Satan. Shit, so what y'all really mad at the devil for other than the fact that you read some stories? You know what I'm saying? Now, there's some beasts on this planet. That's a different conversation. But you talking about like Iblis and them? Bro, you don't know what you're doing, bro. This ain't even none of your business. You know what I'm saying? Never mind, bro. Let me slow down. What? But it's really not none of your business. That's a whole different thing. That's not none of your business. And God and Iblis, Allah and Iblis, or God and Satan, they on one accord. Y'all out the loop. They know what they doing. They testing y'all. Both of them testing y'all. And they got shit set up. The nigga ain't get fired. He just got demoted. This man went to heaven talking about some, and God was like, hey, what going on, Satan? Da-da-da, from whence comest thou? Nigga said, shit, walking down the earth to and fro. And this and that. And then God was like, hey, go fuck with Job. Job wasn't doing shit. He wasn't fucking with nobody. Y'all be saying that shit like it's some like amazing, beautiful shit. Job was like, bro, he was chilling. Doing everything he was supposed to do. Then God was like, man, go fuck with Job. Job didn't do shit to that man, bro. Why he did that, man? Like, he just did that man crazy, bro. Y'all and like the devil was like, can I test Job? The devil wasn't even looking at Job, bro. He didn't even know who that man was. He looked at it foul. He was like, damn, you want me to fuck with bro? All right. That nigga went and checked in with the boss. The boss told that nigga go fuck with Job. They made a bet. God was like, bet. Satan was like, bet. They literally made a bet on that man's life, Ayub or Job, and said, hey, I bet you he ain't gonna break. I bet you the nigga ain't gonna fold. Shaitan like, shit, yeah, he will. Then Shaitan couldn't give him the fold when he had sent all the niggas, killing all these people, all this shit, taking that. He like, I know we're gonna make the nigga fold, because you keep fucking with their house and all that little baby ass shit. Fuck with that nigga, fuck with him, fuck with himself. So I'm saying, God was like, shit, you do got a point. How Satan gonna make a damn fucking suggestion? And God be like, yeah, you right. What you talking about? These folk playing dice. These folks shooting dice. And y'all mad at this nigga, bro. He didn't even, God was the one who told the nigga to do the shit. God was on, bro, God was savage, bro. I ain't gonna hold it. God on some savage shit. That nigga do not play, especially Old Testament. Bro, God on some other shit, bro. Even in the Quran, the angel like, so, what you doing? Allah was like, I'm building some shit. What you want? They looking at each other. We see you. We see you building something that kind of look like us. Yeah, and so what about it? Y'all don't read the books. God got a smart ass mouth, and his son do too. Jesus got a smart ass mouth. Most of the prophets got smart ass mouths, so don't get mad at us because we got smart ass mouths, and who the fuck is you? Sorry. But I'm not sorry. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, shit, that look like us a little bit. Are you creating a race of beings that are going to cause bloodshed in the earth and more corruption? Because we just got through fucking up Mars. Allah was like, nigga, I know what you don't even know. Just kept building. The fuck did the nigga just say? I know Mikael like, the fuck did the nigga say to me? Allah, Sperata Allah, or Sperata Allah. We still talking to you. Is this shit gonna cause? These niggas gonna be a fucking problem? Allah, nigga, I'm Aleem, nigga. Don't y'all call me Aleem? I know what you don't know, nigga. That's why I'm Allah. That's why you Mikael and I'm Allah. That's why you Jibril, you be quiet. I'm Allah. I speak. Like, made exactly what the fuck these niggas was worried about. I mean, that's the most ironic shit that you could ever keep in a story. If I was the reviser, I would have like, take that part out. Cause what did Allah know? The fuck? He knew exactly what them niggas knew. He said, I know what you don't know. That ain't no answer, first of all, Allah Ta'ala. Second of all, them niggas was on point. You try to make it, that nigga Allah gaslit the fuck out them niggas. The original gaslighter. That nigga gaslit the fuck out them niggas. Come on now, this me now. And niggas went for it. Yeah, it is Allah. He is the creator. That nigga said. Soon as they walked off, he dropped some shit. Fell right in at him. Oh shit. Huh? What you say? Nothing, Mikael. Nigga tried to erase it. You know, Yeshua seen that shit. Esau was like, nigga, did you drop sand in there? Shut your fucking mouth. Shut your fucking mouth before I tell him that you did get crucified. Fuck up your neck. Nigga, you dropped some sin in there. That was some sin. What are you gonna do? we gotta show up, nigga. We still gotta show up. Fuck it, put him there. Hey man. Y'all don't know. But it's okay, you will probably. I'm probably not. Ain't no telling. Just keep walking. You know what I mean? This is one of them stories where you trying to figure out whether or not you know God. You need to be making yourself known. Make yourself known fast. Make yourself known. Abstain. Make yourself known. Exercise. In these day and time, make yourself known. Be nice to the animals. Make yourself known. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe they'll pull up on y'all. Cause like, bro. All right, y'all. That's it. We went way over what I thought we were going to go. All right, what we doing next? Shadow work. What else? Y'all drop something real quick. Everybody like this video? Make sure y'all copy and paste, share this for Mirror Worlds. We talk about it for people to open their mind to it. What else? Shadow work, the chi energy, ascension. I see you. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and write it down. Y'all get in where you can. I'm taking 9 more. Shadow work, chi, ascension. 9 more. What's up? What we got? 19 galaxies. That's pops. That's pops. People asking about the 19 galaxies, don't know the 18 yet. Key. Yeah, we got key. I'm finna do the mirror work. Yep. Homosaurus, the reptile. We did reptilians. 19 galaxies. Yeah, that's pops. Twin flames. Okay, I'll do twin flame. That's interesting. Twin flames. What else? Yeah, I got shadow work. I got key. Alchemy. I thought I did alchemy with young elder. I mean, I guess, right? Nah, man, we gotta do something different. There's so much other stuff. If we can't think of some other stuff in the end, we'll come back to it. But I did alchemy already. Go type phase 1, young elder alchemy. Climbing up the 7 ladders. Chakras? Chakras? Y'all want me to explain chakras, bro? Chakras? All right, bro, I'll put it down just in case. Chakras, though? I don't know that shit. I don't know, bro. I feel like that's... Thank you to your new channel, 1440 Ty. Huh? The significance of madness and spirituality. Magnetism. Maybe. Let me think. 33rd degrees. It's only 3 degrees. Science of the rainbow. Keep going, y'all. Don't get discouraged. I'm just trying to figure out what would be like more of the stuff that I ain't really taught yet. Master numbers. I don't really get into like numerology. Key would be fire. Yeah, we got key coming. Soul ties. I could really teach that in the same night as Twin Flames. Science of light. Light. I don't know. Maybe. Portals, quantum tech. Anunnaki. That's pops. Not ether, that's pops. I ain't trying to just teach what pops taught, because you can go to his books and read what he taught. I don't know the things he knows. Science of music. We can do that. Let's say music is magic. Music. Damn. Music is magic. Yeah, I'm not teaching non-ether. That's pops. Some folk don't know the science. I wanted to correlate it with ascension to leave this plane. Third eye, pineal gland. That's old. I don't know. I might be able to talk about that in chakras. Plasma beings? Nah. I am new to your channel, referred by 1T. Who's 1T? All right, detachment. You know what? Yeah, because I was saying I need to teach detachment, but that's one thing. That's another one I'm nervous about. But I'll look into it more. I don't want people to. Man, you gotta be responsible. Sacred geometry. I'll put it because I'll put it because that can go into all our sigil. These are things I know, so I can put it. I don't want to teach stuff I don't know. I don't want to teach cheesy spiritual shit, and I don't want to be just teaching what pops teach, because you can go and look into him and get his information from him. Information age, traffic jam. How did Jesus bring people back to life? That's touchy, because a lot of people take that literal. I'll put resurrection. Yeah, I'll put resurrection. Science of resurrection. He wasn't the only one who did it too. Elijah, a few prophets came through with that ability. Manifesting portals, that's TV. Finding your mission, not adopting one. Mission impossible. I'll call it mission impossible. Mission impossible. All right, what else? Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got two more. Christ ascension through the spine. That's the metaphysical Bible people. They get on my nerves with that. They already did that. But I could talk about that in partnership with the resurrection, or in conjunction with resurrection. So don't be discouraged. I could go over that in resurrection. Magic, that's too broad. What about the spirit cats? What about the cats in the spirit world? That's sacred. Y'all don't understand what I mean when I say that's sacred. It's not a lot of science to support it. I know what it is, but I'm looking for a lot of things that I can pull you to. I gotta get you closer to science. Dream decoding, that's not my thing. Yeah, Beekeeper lit. Malachi York, that's Pops. Brain adaptation. Archaeological psychometry. Archaeological psychometry. I hope you ain't just saying shit. You mean if people go back and find objects and dig them up and know where they come from? We need 2 more, y'all. No, I don't do Reiki. Class on why we have shadows. Nah, that's just regular stuff. It's just regular stuff. NPCs and trying to enlighten family. I could do one on NPCs. NPC warfare. That'll be fun. All right, one more. Yeah, I saw the NPCs. Do sounds have color? Don't they got a there's a word for that. It's not synesthesia. Do sounds have color? I'm gonna hold that one. Activation America by Hemi Sync. What's that? Spirit versus soul. That's Pops. Or Malachi. Is there a way to discover more scientific degrees without a teacher? Yeah. Well, because you still have to know even if it's words you're using, somebody taught you the words. And you're gonna have to do research, so somebody's gonna have to teach you something from the research. Or you can use experience. And you wouldn't necessarily be learning that from a teacher, you'd be learning that from the experience. Yeah, I did. I told you I'm gonna do the resurrection. Emotional regulation. Symbology versus reality. All right, I'll take all 3 of those. Symbology versus reality. That's real good. That's a real good one. What was the other one that I said? I just said that. I did the NPCs. It was another one. Oh, sounds, all right. Sounds and color. Emotional regulation, yep. All right, y'all. We good. Y'all come back tomorrow. We got enough classes to go through what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. The next 2 weeks. All right? I love y'all. Peace in the lab. It's truly wonderful. Hadus Ashuk, divine love. Mirror worlds. Tell them I said that.